Hello and welcome everyone to the OVRC. Welcome to round 5 of the OVRC GT3 Championship. I am joined once again by Owen.
Hello everyone.
And we are here at Misano, just at the end of practice right now. So last few cars out on track. And yeah, Misano, round 5. Getting towards the end of the season. Only one more race left after this. Let's do a quick run over the standing of the championship while we're in this little lull before qualifying.
Sure. So, leading the Drive Championship right now is Microsoft Mill with 380 points, followed by Thomas Jansen with 244. In third is Tom Pottage with 172. And then in fourth is Ryan Mawson with 168, followed by John Dalton in fifth with 164. So it's very close for between third and fifth place in the championship right now. Leading the team championship is Virtual Drives by TX3 with 380 points. In second is Silver Missile Racing Team with 278 points. In third is S&P Team with 187. Then in fourth is Flying Husky Motorsports with 168, followed by Jensen Team Rocket WNT with 164. And as always, you can find the full standings at the link in the description.
Thank you for that, Owen. So obviously, qualifying just begun. It's a 20-minute session. So 20 minutes for all the cars to set a time. Currently, John Dalton's first out car on track once again. So once again, he gets the honour of the onboard lap after he starts this one. So a quick thing about Misano. Misano's a very short circuit, 2.6 miles or 4.2 kilometers. For reference, Silverstone is what, 5.9? Spa's like 7 kilometers. So the track is quite short, quite a quick lap around here as well. So it should be interesting to see how it goes. I've never actually driven here or raced here before. So I don't really know how much I can really say about the track really, outside of the fact that it's quite, from just looking at it, the car going around, it's quite tricky as Dawson will start his flying lap now. He goes down the start finish straight.
Yeah, it's a track that you don't really find in any other sims, so unless you've played a lot of ACC, you probably haven't really driven this track.
So John looking for the first chicane. There's no corner names, unfortunately, until this one, which is in Italian, so I will not pronounce it. There's a lot of anti-cuts on the corner as you get to a sort of double hairpin here. You get a very sharp corner followed by another right and to the left. So, you know, and you've got a back straight here. It's got more of a dog leg. It's got a slight kink in it. Barely noticeable. Then you get into hard brakes now for this left-hander. There's a bit of slide there. The car unsettled a bit on entry. And you got this corner here, which looks quite tricky actually. You flip the car and put the brakes on after the first apex, get the car around. Then you now have to get a good exit because you get a mini straight, which is all flat out now. Until you get towards the end of the lap. So you find out here. Now I can't hear the noise. This might be a lift or flat out. You're there, and then you've got another little kink coming up, and then you've got the brakes about now. So the car's unsettled into this corner. Get the car into small corners. Then you go around a very slow hairpin right now. 2 more corners to go. Avoid the anti-cuts there. Get the car nice and wide. On the about 50 meter board. Another nice easy right-hander, left-hander, and then that's a lap. That is not the most descriptive lap I've ever done. I don't really know the track as that was an invalid lap time. It was 1:35.7, so we'll know what sort of times to expect from the other drivers. Quite a crowded track right now with a lot of cars on track. And yeah, just looking at that, a lot of corners where you sort of throw the car in, you're braking in the corner before. As a few more hoops at times. Right, Niger across the line with a fairly slow lap for him. Going around.
Yeah, so leading right now with a 133.9 is Mike Stoffmill, although Vincent Urbridge and Mark Whitford are very close behind.
Yeah, so they're fairly close right now. So those top three were fairly close in practice. We saw it, obviously. Practice is not always relevant to the actual race session, but you don't get a clear understanding about what's going on with one. Showing also on the second lap now, and let's see if this one is valid this time around. And it will be a 1:34.9. Five minutes done. Completed. As this is one of the only few races of the season which hasn't been either very early in the morning, very late in the evening, or at night. It's just been midday-ish, kind of 10 o'clock in game. Track is 25 degrees, so it's probably one of the warmer races we've had this season so far. Obviously, it doesn't rain for race day. Adam and Carlisle crossed the line. Would have been invalid that time because it was an improvement, but not a valid. Andre, currently in P17, is currently improved by nearly a second right now. So there's been a few more Lamborghinis show up. Got another one signed up with Andre, so let's see a bit more of them outside Mike Stoffmore, obviously who's leading the champion. Andre across the line with a 1:36.8. So a few more people still sitting time because we have the quick confirmation that Thomas Jansen will not be racing. So unfortunately, it takes one of the higher place cars out of contention for today, which is unfortunate. Doesn't mean we might have an intense battle for the lead, as so far qualifying is fairly close to the top four.
Yeah, they are pretty close. It'll be interesting to see how this develops. Mark Whitford currently leading with a 1:33.8. Whitford's had a rough start to the season, but seems to be doing better after switching to the Bentley.
Thing is, just generally front engine cars. He was doing quite well in the Aston last season. Did not get on with the McLaren at all. He's doing fairly well now in the BMW and the GT3 Series, so maybe just suits front engine cars more.
Mihalski going around the final corner. Ryan Mawson. It's still saying inconsistent names depending on where you look. And he has closed the gap to Marcus Lawrence. So potentially looking to get involved in that fight for pole position as well.
Yeah, they'll start being very close. There's a half a second gap to Thomas Olsen and P6, but nothing stopping any of those lot improving the gap any closer. There are a few people yet to set times, including Ruler. Yeah, Simon Ruler, Tom Pottage, and Variant Muller have yet to set a time. Two of those cars are currently out on track, while one of them is still in the pit lane.
Yeah, I think this is the first race for Sam Ruler. So will be interesting to see where he ends up if he manages to set a lap. Because so far for the first 5 minutes of qualifying, he's just been sitting in the pit lane.
Robert Nygaard improved his time to a 134.7. Because it's P8 after a good lap by him.
Thomas Olsen improving right now. He's currently in 6th. Trying to close that gap to Ryan Mawson. Couple tenths up on his delta right now. He is getting towards the end of the lap. Looks like just one more corner to go. Sorry, 2 more corners as it turns out. I'm not familiar with the track yet. And he's crossed the line. And he's closed the gap to Ryan Mawson.
Yes, he has. So he's now possibly in that challenge of 5. He can get a bit more time out of it now. Depends if the people up ahead can start to improve. As saying that Mike Stoffbell is improving.
Yep, he's into the final corner now. He did go a bit wide earlier. And let's see if that won't have invalidated his lap. And it looks like it did invalidate his lap.
We've got to pole position with that lap time as well. All mistake has left. The others have a chance as well, as Mark Whitford is on a slight improvement right now as well. Pretty much sophomore and Mark Whitford are both improving times than the top group.
In the midfield, also Victor Berlin improving right now, Van de Molliet as well. They are currently in 15th and 16th position. Yeah, they've been closely behind each other, so it will be interesting to see where they go as Victor abandons his lap. Valentin is looking to finish it though, half a second up on his delta right now. So let's see where he goes. And he moves up to 13th position.
And next across the line will be Mark Whitford on a slight improvement to the time as well. Will extend his lead to a 133.6.
Max Stoffmel about to cross the line. And he goes into P1, 133.5.
Good lap by him. A few more people taking time right now in the last 6 minutes.
Not seeing a lot of improvements right now. Sebastian Brunier on a small improvement. See if he gains anything. He does gain 1 position from that, so moves up to 15th. Tom Pot is currently down in 13th place, which is not normally where we kind of expect to see him.
We were quite down the order from where they normally are. The John Dalton P10, Tom Bottas P13, Sebastian Buer P15. So the McLaren cars are struggling a bit this time around.
Mark Whitford on an out lap right now. Vincent Urbridge on a hot lap. Marcus Lawrence just finished the lap, but I don't think he gained anything. Max Stoffmel coming out of the pit lane now. Thomas Olsen crosses the line, doesn't improve. Brian Mawson getting towards the end of his lap, but not improving so far. He's got a couple more corners left to go. See if he can gain anything through here. Doesn't look like he has. So he will stay in 5th position, doesn't improve. Marcus Lawrence 3/10 up on his delta right now, as he is closely behind one of the Aston Martins, which I think is Adam Carlisle. Let's see if that ends up costing him anything. And looks like he's... Oh!
Whoa! It's one of the Astons. That's going to be his lap qualifying run over.
A lot of people out on track right now, but we're not really seeing any improvements. Vincent Urbridge slightly improving now. See, gets into the last couple of corners. A little bit wide through there. Should just about be okay, I think. Yes, he will cross the line. And, oh, gets very close to Mark Whitford, but stays in 3rd position.
So a couple of the top 3 getting fairly close to Mark Whitford's time, but only 2 minutes left. And Mark Whitford has started... Well, Mike Stoffmel has started a improvement time, so in the last few sectors.
Whitford improving as well, although I think Mike just lost some of his improvement at the end, as he seems to be trying to get more of a gap to the car in front, so he can have another go. Less than 2 minutes left now. Mark Whitford couple tenths up on his delta. Looks like he could take P1 on this lap if he gets it right. As he's got a few more corners left to go. Let's see what happens when he crosses the line. He's lost his improvement towards the end of the lap there. He improves by a little bit. But if he didn't give that time away at the end, that could have been a P1 for him. But he has one more chance, one more lap with 1 minute left in the session. Mike Stoffmel on a slight improvement right now. Mark Whitford is in the pits now, as is Vincent Urbridge. So they won't be fighting for pole position anymore. And so unless, well, it's looking like Mark Stoffmill will be able to take that pole position pretty safely right now. Marcus Lawrence not improving enough to challenge him, and Mike heads into the pits.
So just seeing the top runners are all pitted now, which seems it's just basically a midfield fight still to go.
Like Marcus Lawrence just about managed to start another lap. So he might still have a chance, but looking pretty difficult for him right now. As most cars are in the pit lane right now. Dalton improving slightly. He's about to cross the line. He could still gain a couple of positions here. And he gains one position, moves up to P9. Marcus Lawrence is getting towards the end of the lap now.
Comes a bit wide.
Currently it sends up on his delta.
Might move him.
He could still enter the top 3 here, but he has to gain a lot of time through these last couple of corners, which it doesn't look like he will.
A bit wide next. It hits some of the anti-cuts. Cross the line and does not improve.
Third on one sync, last car out on track, but he's losing time right now. And that is the end of qualifying. Mike Stoffmill takes pole position with Vincent Urbridge starting alongside him on the first row.
Yeah, so the current order is Stoffmill, Erdvik, Whitford, Lawrence, Mawson, Olsen, Wanzig, Nygaard, Dalton, and Jeff are the top 10. The top 20 can be seen on screen right now. So as they begin to line up on the grid. That's currently the starting order you can see for the until P24. Now are 25 cars on the server, so rulers at the bottom. He did not set a time in the end.
So everyone getting ready for this 90-minute race. With a mandatory pit stop, of course.
Okay, guys, are on jacks? Just doing any last adjustments to make sure the tires, fuel, anything?
Yep, have to put the right amount of fuel in for the race, of course.
Obviously, be a full formation lap here.
Yep. As you can see, the people in the stands in the background are very excited for this race.
Yep, waving their flags. I thought it's the same guy doing it.
Oh, right.
It's very clear. It's the same person.
Only one of them has a green flag instead of a red one.
Oh,
Where's
well,
the black flag? I don't know.
that's a yellow flag. So, quick predictions before the formation lap gets underway.
Well, Mike Stossmel starting from the front. He's been doing very well. Of course, he's the easy bet. But we saw Vincent Urbich also being very strong last time around at Suzuka, and he would have won that race if that wasn't for the multiple penalties he had managed to acquire throughout the race.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can have a cleaner race this time around.
That Suzuka race was interesting towards the end there. As the cars start to go single file. Head towards down the. It's not really hairpin. It's more because it's double two corners just in one sort of area. If you're the helicopter can, you can see the sort of the kink at the first bit. Go around, so down the back straight. As the track is sunnier than actually in qualifying, I just realised that. So nice, a bright sunny day. Cars will be going side by side very shortly. They are doing that right now. Just before the second to last corner. All start to bunch up. So, Mike Stoffman on pole for the third time this season? I believe, I can't remember now. So we're about to start round 5 of the GT3 Series. We'll start to line up down the start finish straight now through the final corner. As we are about to go racing as soon as the lights drop to green. And we are going. A good start by Mike Stoffel has managed to get him ahead of the Honda of Erksbit. They have heading to turn 1. There's a couple of cars going side, but one of the cars are off in the background there. I don't know which one it is. That's the
It's Thomas Olsen.
Thomas Olsen there in the background as Mawson's having a go at Lawrence and has passed Lawrence. So there's a bit of a change up as Nygaard's having a move in the background there with the other cars as they all make their way through the corners. Olsen a bit bogged down at the start, possibly a bit of contact. He's currently now down in P10. Go 3 wide down the back straight there. And now forced to trying to go around the outside of John Dalton there in the. There's all a bit more contact as well. There's cars going off all over the place in the background there. Nygaard's off. Going on back there. That's a lot of.
Ooh, there's a lot of cars off the road there. Of them damaged as well.
What's the replay of that from the helicopter cam? Nudged around by Thomas Olsen, and everyone else starts to dash across. Oh, it's just a ping pong effect behind. I was trying to get in track and then not swerving into other people as well. Not the best start to the race that was. Quite. Yeah, not exactly what we want to see, unfortunately. I don't know how many people that's affected. A few cars into the pit, including Ruler, Nygaard, and Markov, all in the pit lane now. The top 6 car, oh, top 5 cars, I mean, sorry, all still fairly close together with only Stoffmill leading at front. So things keep going right now as the first 2 laps have been completed. I think that everyone down to P22 is still on track right now. Right, if we're looking, that's the Earthquake looking for a move onto Mike Stoffman up ahead. Doesn't make it go. Let's look quickly down the inside there, so Stoffman possibly being a bit slow right now, Earthquake feeling a bit ambitious. And try and get in front, that would be good for him, because then he can sort of slowly start to, well, stop letting Stoffman get away. In terms of pace. He's holding right behind him right now. So Markov back out on track, and a few gaps have formed a bit as the order has been shuffled around quite a bit there. Yeah. John Dalton's possibly gone. John Dalton made it, obviously had an issue early. He's dropped down to P14. It's been fairly close behind, in front of Amelia, so a bit of a chaotic first few laps of Misano right now.
Yep, the top 5 sticking very close together though, which is nice to see.
Yeah, Thomas Olsen behind Patrick right now, but will make a move down the inside there. Olsen involved in that little Olsen has moved up, as now he's trying to look down to Tom Pottage, who is just up the road, about 3 seconds up the road. So be careful, Patrick behind, who is still not exactly clear. He could easily make a lunge. As there's another yellow flag out somewhere on track. Exactly where that yellow flag is right now, but it's definitely somewhere. There's another car in the pit lane of Victor Berlin.
Victor Berlin going back out. Like he possibly had some damage there.
So let's see that. Will it? Oh, Jeff's dropped down to P9.
Yeah, he's right in between Thomas Olsen and Patrick Sajic now.
Yeah. I mean, Olsen's a bit, you're a bit easier to move up the order a bit more. I think Jeff having a bit of connection issues right now. Some people blinking in and out. Entirely sure why. So kind of the gaps at the top end have changed a bit around. As they've closed and opened and closed, as Sebastian Brunier, who's a few more back markers spinning. I mean, we're definitely struggling around right now at Misano.
Vincent Herbert is in 6th all of a sudden. You catch what happened to him?
No, I haven't. Watch the...
Doesn't seem like anything that happened on this lap, so
Yeah, no.
I don't think the replay will tell you anything.
So we could cancel the replay, but...
Yeah.
What's the full 30 seconds of? Not a lot. That means that Whitford is now the next car behind Stoffmer, who is significant. He's just closed the gap to Mike Stoffmill.
Vincent trying to catch back up as he is very close to Jordan Wansink right now. One of the other Hondas on track as he goes for the overtake down the inside there. And it looks like he does make the move.
Moves up to P5. Now tries to close the gap to 1 sec.
Stoffman and Whitford still very close.
Yeah, it seems that Whitford having a better time keeping up to Stoffmill. Definitely keeping the gap on. I don't know if enough long enough straight to make an overtake. Obviously, it depends on the exit they get out of that corner just they just went through just now.
Their lap times are looking very similar right now. Yeah, they also seem to be creating a little bit more of a gap to Mawson and Lawrence, although they are still close behind.
Yeah, they're still there. The gap, though, between Earthbit and Lawrence has somewhat stabilised a bit. It's that camera angle just there always throws me off. Switch burned on the grass there, so not exactly know what's going on there. He's struggling a bit. Well, a track which is fairly flat, it seems to be catching a few people out right now. This is the inexperience about racing around here. The gap has equalised a bit for the lead fight as John Dalton, who is currently down P13 after having something to happen to him, is now trying to catch the back of James Butler's car. Patrick has got ahead of Jeff as well, so he's also losing positions after having a poor start. Joe Ferreira is also trying to close back Mark Webb just a bit further in front of behind these guys. As Miller, it's also on the back of Jeff now. Jeff is definitely using some pace. As Opus got a drive-through penalty. Guess that's track extension, so
Again, just like Suzuka, managing to get a penalty for that abuse of track limits. Seems
a bit too hard. It sounds like they're on the outside of turn 1. I don't think you really get away there. Definitely feels like Jeff's car is down on top end or something's not right with it, as it's not the quickest car on track right now at all.
Whitford and Stockmill just heading onto the start-finish straight. Whitford doesn't seem to really be gaining anything there, wasn't really close enough. As Vincent Urbridge heads into the pit lane, presumably to serve that drive-through penalty. A pretty long pit lane here as well. As this long part after the actual pit boxes still counts as within the pit lane and requires running on the pit limiter. And it looks like Vincent is dropped down to P14.
It's a very long pit lane around here for such a short track, so it's not the sort of track you do want to have a drive through. Doesn't seem.
I mean, you don't want to have a drive-through at any track, but this one is just particularly bad.
I think that's the worst one's probably something like Spa. The pit lane takes like a minute to go down it. Just to drive through it, because obviously
one problem with drive-through penalties is they can be really depends on the track how bad they are.
Yep. Obviously they're all dealt with the in-game system. We don't manually do those. There's not enough of us to manually go through every track limit and say, "Oh, that person cut." We have the computer to do it for us. And to be fair, they're the same for everyone. Everyone has the same track limits. Or do they? I just type into my computer here to not give track limits to the leaders for good racing. Oh, that's F1's approach. So, lap 11, as Whitford looks around the outside, he's definitely getting close on the brakes there. There's not getting quite enough overlap to exactly do anything with it, as Olsen's gone in front of Tom Pottage, so that's an overtake that's happened. Third time. The positions stay the same as
Lawson and Lawrence are still very close together as well. The gap between them has been about the same for a while. They are starting to fall further behind Stoffmill and Whitford.
Slowly losing time. Also, we got a second gap to Pottage behind him, so he's definitely flying right now. Definitely just have some more pace. Where his actual position is. Obviously, he was involved in that lap one crash, which did.
Yeah. Fernandez and Molly, it's still very close behind Jeff. Vincent Urbridge trying to make his way back up the field. He's got James Butler ahead of him now.
Yeah, he's gonna close that gap very quick, I feel like. Around the outside, ooh. But just forced a long way around that corner, somewhat favours the defender. Taking the type of line, but it's definitely looking to make an overtake in the next few corners if he can. Jeff's just holding the inside line for now. Jeff's gone off the track there, and that gives it a bit. Ooh, he nearly loses it there after going wide.
Vincent Urbridge getting close to John Dalton now.
Yeah, he's right behind the back of John Dalton right now. As Nygaard's also close to the back of James Butler, so he's a bit of a comeback drive as well. Oh, he doesn't need to lap down. I didn't realise that. No, he's not racing. As Rupert's going to go down the inside to the next corner, and we'll make the move happen just before the final turn. But will John Dalton make another move back? Oh, it's very wide over the anti-cuts there. Let move up to P11. The gap for Whitford takes into over a second. As Mawson gets very wide there, as we just watch him now as he's very close to the back of Lawrence. So, oh, Lawrence has got in front of him. That's what's happened. Aha! I'm very observant. Turns out. So yes, Lawrence has moved up to P3. And Mawson down to P4. The overtakes always happen when we're not watching. That's just the rule. You want something else to see what's going on? Oh, overtake. So Herbert has got past Jeff, who is... Jeff doesn't seem to be struggling quite a bit now with lap time, as he's going to be passed by John Dalton and everyone else. They're going to run down the inside. As McRae's got a drive-through penalty, as... forced a bit wide by James Butler as well, so Jeff definitely struggling with pace now. Doesn't look like he knew he'd lose it again, so his car's then got some sort of issue going on. Not in the best of shape. You've got Humanchenko behind him as well now. This race has got pretty bad for Jeff, as Winship's going down to the inside as well. So Amelia is close to that of Patrick right now, so he's still on his move. Patrick's a bit on his own now. 15-second gap. Not sure that's quite happened. As will you try and make it over to the next corner? Is he have enough exit speed? That's the real question. But to have a lot of straight line speed.
Mark Whitford has fallen a second behind Microsoft Mill by now. It seems like Mike picking up the pace a little bit maybe. Though their last laps were actually very similar, so they're still pretty close.
So Vertigan on the inside of Patrick now. And does seem to have got in front now, heading in to Caro. Caro? Curva de Caro. I butchered that horribly. Sorry, any Italians at last. As he's kind of making the comeback now, but seeing that.
Jeff is heading into the pit lane.
Pit window is not yet open, but he's probably just going to put it down his car lines, also in the pit lane as well. A few pit stops, I'm guessing that's for damage repair. There don't seem to be anything else. Olsen definitely hunting the back of Wandley right now. Jeez. I mean, after being the centre of the incident at turn 1, he's somewhat made to recover for the most part.
Olsen very close to 1 sync now. Oh, seems like 1 sync got on the curb a bit there, lost some speed. And that will allow Thomas Olsen to overtake and take P5.
So the gap between the leaders has extended to 2 seconds. So Sebastian Brunia, a bit further down the order, P14 spot behind Yamichik. Words. What are they? Yamichik
Words
right
are
now.
hard.
Words are hard. I agree. There's Sebastian down the inside of Yamichik. As the pit window is now open. But he does lose it on the exit. He does get the Porsche gets a better drive at the corner. It does mean that he's now passed once again. I'll have to do it all over again. As Sebastian Brunia dives into the pits now, so he's going to be one of the first few of the scheduled stoppers, along with Dalton, Erkbeck, and Victor Berlin as well. So the first set of pit stops has begun. The question is, what happened after this stop? Obviously, there's a 20-minute pit window, so it's got to do a tyre change. No fuel required, so you can just get to the end on fuel. Don't see why Woods do it, because I think the pit stops are fuel then tyres and ECC, and not just both at the same time. There's a few more entering the pit lane now. I believe Perez has joined the stop, as well as Delvin. A few more have exited the pit lane now as well, so we'll see how the order will shuffle. As Erkbeck is behind Wanzig. That'll be interesting to see how, this all shuffles up. Is that how the pit stop is around here? That you're getting a lap down nearly? He's behind these lot, and he's not in the timing tower. He's only P13, and these guys are P5 and 6. So yeah, he's a lap down right now.
Butler just heading into the pits as well. Pavel Markov is also in the pits. Mark Webb just heading into the pits.
A lot more like midfield drivers will be heading into the pit lane now. Some of them might be taking a bit of repairs for damage, obviously. Some of them will have some damage from just driving, knocking into other people, happens.
Christopher Devlin and just got his pit stop done and is heading back out. There's Butler heading back out as well.
Obviously, at this point in the race, it's quite hard for us to track because we have no idea where the correct order is right now. In terms of, everybody's the leading car on the pits, but he's stuck behind one Zig and he's a lap down on them, so he can technically overtake. But yeah, he's blue flagged, so it'll be interesting to see. So Dalton's pulled up behind him. So there's Butler and Webb. He's pulling out the pit lane now. Sebastian will get in front of him. So currently, Stoffmel's lead has increased to 3 seconds as he's doing his. It was quite interesting. In the start of the race, he was keeping Whitford was keeping pace to him, but it seems that as it's gone on, he has slowly extended that gap.
Yep, Whitford just not able to keep up as they get later into the race.
Yeah, I don't know how much the tyres will play into that. I don't think it'll be too much of that involved. But it could be. Just be that. Obviously, it's quite a lot easier to follow a car, generally. Most drivers will probably agree with that. As soon as you start losing them, you can't obviously just follow them as well, so you lose time and stuff like that. So it might just be a simple case of that. We'll see, as we should see more pit stops coming up.
Marcus Lawrence is into the pit lane.
Big's got another drive for penalty.
Oh. And he's disconnected. A rich, very promising driver, but just can't seem to keep it within track limits.
A bit of a case of too fast, too quick. As he has definitely been one of the quicker drivers, but does seem to have issues with to keep you on the road. I mean, he definitely paced at Suzuki, was the fastest car on track. Got pole there. Similar sort of issue. And it's a shame to see people like that, but those issues. But you know, it's the same for everyone on track as Marcus Lawrence gets underway. So the highest place pit stop will now head out on track as I'm just watching right now to see how long this pit exit is. Cause you got to keep it on here until I think about now you let go.
And that's still a while to go
Still a
until
while.
the line. Have to go around the corner here. And there is finally the line.
And you can get up to speed, so that's a long pit exit. I believe he's pulled out in front of John Dalton, so he hasn't lost any positions for that. Compared to people who haven't pitted, obviously. You can still lose positions to people who haven't pitted yet. And he has pulled 3 seconds ahead of Yemchuk, so he should be in the clear.
The car right behind him is Mark Webb, who is a lap down. Tom Pottage is into the pit lane.
The rare early stop from Tom Pottage. Anyone the drivers would like to keep the car out on track for longer? Let's just say he has. It's quite to see that he's pitted a bit earlier, but he'll probably slot down the order a bit as Marcus Lawrence is. Well, he was P3 when he pitted, so he'll be way ahead. He's going to pass him now for the final corner.
Patrick Sajic is also into the pits. Sergei Kimchuk heading in as well. Tom Pottage gets back underway. And we've still got a fair bit of pit lane to go. So keep an eye on him and see where he ends up. Helps that the people directly behind him have also stopped. So he won't be losing any positions to those people.
Yeah. As Mawson's into the pit lane now. So another one of the front runners.
Jordan Wansink heading in as well. As Patrick is heading back out.
We are halfway through, not over yet.
Looks like Patrick will also stay in 9th position. And here Kimchuk heading out as well. So he seems to have dropped down to 11th. And so he's got John Dalton ahead of him. So James Butler ahead of him as well now. As Ryan Mawson is heading back out. It looks like it will be 6th place for him. As Mark Whitford is into the pit lane. Our 2nd place driver is making his pit stop. As Jordan Wansink is back out in 7th position.
So 8 minutes left in the pit window.
So Mark's got some new tires on. And he is heading back out now. Found Molliet heading in. So see another car behind him heading in as well. That's Andy McRae. Mark Whitford getting back up to speed. And will rejoin in 3rd position. So he's only lost 1 position from those pit stops. With of course The people ahead of him, Mike Stoffman and Thomas Olsen, have
Have
still to
pitted.
make their pit stops.
As Mike Sitman-
Mike Stoffman is just heading into the pit lane.
Yeah, as you say that, he does enter the pit lane. So, one more car to go in as the other car from the pit lane. So, being interesting to see where everyone will end up. Quite a long stop, quite a quick
Quentin
lap.
Molliet is in the pits as well, as he is heading back out now. Thomas Olsen going in now as well. Let's see if Molliet ends up ahead of Zajic.
It's got a stop and go of 30 seconds, quite possibly for speeding in the pit lane. As Mark Whitford is heading through the final corner right now. Where is Softmill right now?
Softmill is getting back up to speed now.
It seems like the gap has not really closed at all over that pit stop. I've actually extended, if anything, so we'll see after they go for the next timing beams.
Yeah, well, just visually speaking, the gap seems to be quite large, so
6.1
seconds it's saying now.
About 1 to 2 seconds lost in that pit stop cycle.
Thomas Olsen is back out, just dropped to P5. Robert Nygaard is in the pits now. Yes, he and Adam Carlisle are the last drivers who have yet to make their pit stop.
Not a lot left to go as the pack is spread out quite a bit over that last stop.
As Nygaard is back out, Molliet is back in the pits to serve that 30-second stop-go penalty. That's going to cost him a number of positions. At least I think it will. Though maybe not, as Butler seems to be... No, he does overtake. Okay, I was just getting a little bit confused with the data in the timing tower. But Molliet has just lost the position to Butler. And will stand to lose 8 points more positions. So that's very unfortunate for him. Van Molliet is back out in 15th.
Yep, so he's dropped
Behind Andre Ferreira.
He's dropped quite a few positions there.
As Adam Carlisle is into the pits now as well. So that will be all our pit stops for today done.
Yep. As James Butler's just got a drive-through penalty. Does seem like the track. This track has been quite harsh on these off tracks.
I think he just hit the barrier on the pit entry as well.
Oh.
Not too bad though, just a little tap with the back of his car.
Don't do that. Don't crash on pit entry. That's the worst thing you can do.
I mean, it wasn't a crash, just a little tap.
I remember it was like Daytona 24 in iRacing. Quite a few people hit the barrier on exit there. It's quite a nasty exit. You sort of get up to speed and there's suddenly a barrier in front of you. Like, oh, and you hit it, and then you look stupid. Yeah, you don't want to do that. It's also happened a couple of times in real life, I think, as well. Wasn't it a few years back at the 24 Hours of Nords where BMW like hit the barrier on pit entry with the bonnet up? I remember now. That's 2 years ago now. I knew someone on the internet, probably. Sancho Ferreira right at the back of Mark Webb right now, so a Lamborghini fight. Let's see. We'll get ahead here.
Whitford not really closing the gap to Stoffmill. There's still 7.1 seconds on the last timing.
Yeah, I just seen that.
So he's not really able to keep up with Mike at this point in the race. So Mike's last time was actually a personal best, if a 134.0, whereas Whitford did a 134.3.
Yeah, Mark's times are not slow, it's just that Whitford's has managed to pull out another good lap out the bag. As Andre makes a small error there, does let through Wanzig. He's actually having a very good race right now after the last few races which seen him having a few incidents.
Yeah. Well, just looking at the times some more, Mark Whitford is the second fastest in the field right now. He's just not quite as fast as Mike Stoffmill.
Well, his competition has somewhat, well, one of them is did not finish, and one of them is seconds behind.
Pit window is now closed.
So pit window has closed. Not like it really matters due to the fact that everyone has pitted already. The fight for P12 is still raging between Ferreira and Webb. Those two have not seemed to have broken apart yet. Just think Ferreira might be slightly quicker of the two as he does make a small mistake by Webb, does allow him to slip down the inside. Webb will. No, he backs out of a bit and does allow Ferreira through into P11. Just about to say they're going to keep fighting. They have managed to make the overtake happen. And he'll swap positions. So things are somewhat calmed down once again. James Butler is slowly closing in on a Webb, but not a lot going on right now. As he makes a little mistake, quite possibly. And does allow Tom Pottage, who is ahead. So just over 31 minutes left to go. Probably means an hour has passed. Probably. Well, I say probably. It has passed. The hours are 30 minutes. James Butler's closed the gap to Webb now. It's under half a second, so let's see if he can hold off another car. He makes another second. Same corner he lost it last time. As they say that, Butler proceeds to slide for the next corner. Well, they close the gap a bit once again. Doesn't seem that James Butler's quite strong on the brakes. He nearly collides in the back of Webb there. They're through the final few corners right now.
Well, 9 seconds between Stoffmill and Whitford.
It looks like Whitford has extended that gap by quite a bit.
Although Stoffmill did lose a lot of time on the last lap.
Possibly dealing with
We'll have
traffic.
to, we'll have to see how that develops, as there's under 30 minutes left in the race now. Seems to be quite a gap between Lawrence and Mawson now as well. Yeah, a lot of big gaps between people right now. Not really that much going on, unfortunately. Butler just went down the inside of Webb, but doesn't look like he's got the latter part of the corner quite right there. But too late on the brakes, possibly.
He might get a bit loose there on exit, as he still hasn't got past yet. "25 minutes left to go." This is currently the Fight 2 watch right now. Sorry about that. My broadcasting tool is broke, so I'm doing everything manually. Don't want to know why I could just go through some cameras rather than just click the button. So this fight is still none of them really broken apart. Because everything seems a bit. Team Butler's I feel is a bit quicker, but you just can't get a clean overtake happening, which is somewhat the issue. If you're faster, sure, but can you make a clean overtake without having to do a NASCAR style push them off the track? It's always the question. Miller's closing the gap after he had a drive through, he had a stop and go, didn't he? So he basically stood there for the entire pit stop length. And he's now still closing the gap now to 1.5 seconds behind these two, with 23 minutes to go.
Yep, he did get a stop and go. For speeding in the pit lane, presumably.
Yep. A lot of marbles being picked up around the outside of the track. You can actually see them around here quite clearly. There's a little black little dots on the outside of the track. And so James Butler goes a bit wide there and hits the anti-cut. A bit of lap traffic up ahead.
Yep. But Molly closing up pretty quickly as well.
Yeah, Webb is somewhat being a cork in the bottle right now. As now it's nearly in striking distance as well. Ooh, Butler goes a bit deep there. But has a lock up on the brakes. Not lock ups. Oh, what's the saying? Can't remember. Basically, has to stamp on the brakes to avoid hitting him. So, a bit deep on the brakes, but too late there. Cost him a chance to make an overtake. That's for sure.
Yep, and Molliet just getting past James Butler. Getting it done on the straights.
So, Webb's just fallen off somewhere.
Oh,
Completely missed
just
him.
looking at the stream, he's spun off.
I was going to get a replay, but I can't. But it does seem Mo has got ahead now, so just in that sort of fight has solved itself. As I'll quickly have to relog. Hold on just a second. Won't take long, I promise.
Yep, I'll try and keep you up to date on what's happening in the race in the meantime.
It's radio comms. BBC 5, I think, is the one.
Green light. Give it all you can.
Oh, someone's off the road. Can't quite tell who it is. I think that was Christopher Devlin, who is down in 18th position.
And it's like nothing's ever happened. Welcome back. The gap to the leader, which Mark Whitford is trying to do something about, is going bigger and bigger as his ex-teammate, John Dawson's behind him right now, is a few laps down. I don't know why there's so many cars lapped down around here. It just seems the field has definitely spread out quite a bit. Sonic Software has a commanding lead right now of like 13 seconds.
Yep, Whitford just not able to keep up in the late stages of the race. He was looking very competitive at the start.
Like Software is being consistent laps right now, just not really.
He's just, he's just very consistent as usual. Just soft mill doing soft mill things.
Yeah, he's had a. What's interesting? He had a. Oh, Mark Webb gets a drive-through penalty. He had a few offs when battling earlier. Obviously now it's just too much now, and been given a penalty.
Yeah, he's got one of the Aston Martins behind him. But I think those... that is Adam Carlisle.
He's a few laps down.
Yeah.
So 17 minutes roundabout. Everything somewhat has calmed down, unfortunately for us.
Yeah, just some very large gaps between people right now. We'll have to see what happens. And Molly, it does seem like he's closing the gap to Ferrera. He's very close to the back of Ferrera now.
Yeah, so Ferrera was ahead of Webb and got overtaken, so the gap has closed down quite a bit very quickly.
And he gets very close on the straight, but not close enough to try anything into turn 1. As Mark Webb is into the pit lane to serve that drive-through penalty.
Effectively, it's a late stage of the race.
Well, Molly goes down the inside, and he does get ahead of Ferrera.
Yeah, managed to cut in front right there, so very cleanly done. Had to wait a bit, couldn't move up immediately. But very nicely done, and he moves up into P11. No, P12. Right. Actually, how big is the gap ahead of him now to close?
Unsure as of right now. We'll have to see when Molliet crosses the timing line. But given how long that's taking, I suspect the gap is pretty big. And there it is, 26.4 seconds. With 15 minutes left in the race, I don't think that's happening.
Butler will be the next car trying to get past Ferrera. Past Andre.
Yeah, Andre seems to be very slow right now for some reason. You have to see if he can pick the pace up a bit and keep James Butler behind him. A little bit better lap from Andre this time around, but still quite a bit slower than James Butler. I think Butler should be able to try for a move within a couple of laps. We'll have to see. There's not a lot else going on right now, unfortunately.
As ooh, Rowe makes a mistake in that corner seems to be throwing a lot of people off, as that's like third time we've seen someone go wide there. Jumper moves up to P13 now as well. Start to pull it away, I imagine, from the Lamborghini.
Yep. Meanwhile, it seems John Dalton is closing up to Patrick Sajic. So we could potentially have a battle for P8 throughout these last 10 minutes of the race. We'll have to wait and see if John Dalton can really catch up. Patrick does seem to be losing a lot of time right now. So yeah, Dalton catching up pretty quickly. He's within 7/10 now.
Dalton having a bit of a quiet race this time. I think he got caught up fairly early in an instant, and someone having to work his way back up. So under 10 minutes to go, and he's quite possibly in trying to make this move happen in the next few laps.
Very close now. See if he can try anything on this straight. Doesn't look like he's quite close enough. Got one of the Hondas behind him as well. That's Marcus Lawrence. So they're about to be lapped by Marcus Lawrence as he is making the move. John Dalton.
Force around the long way.
Side by side again.
You try and get a run now for the final corner. Not quite there, but he can try and get a good exit. He just needs to get some good exits right now to make it happen. I think he does have the pacer.
So has Lawrence right behind him now, about to lap him. Lawrence trying to make the move. Ooh, bit of contact between them.
Ooh.
Oh! That goes very wrong for both of them.
Sure what quite happened there. We're going to watch the replay now.
Lawrence struggling to get it back on track. Lawrence is going again now.
Going for a gap which is not quite there. A bit too much scruffy there for what really should be a fairly clean overturn. Taking Dalton away back, and Lawrence is quite far back over where he wanted to be.
It's unfortunately also spoiled the fight between Patrick Sajic and John Dalton. There's a 7.3 second gap between them now. Andre Ferreira close behind Butler. He seems to be actually a little bit faster than Butler right now.
Okay, 4 minutes to go. James Butler saw. Mr. Christopher Delvin's got a drive-through penalty as well, so another one added to the list. There's another car. Oh, Trey's in the pit lane.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Or is looking a little bit damaged. There is Christopher Devlin as well. Okay, he's had a drive-through penalty, but he's gone into his pit box. Sure what the reason behind that is. Jordan Wansink has a drive-through penalty. Wansink currently in 6th. He's got Tom Pottage right behind him as well.
That's going to affect their race, isn't it? As Tom Potter, I don't know if he'll know or not if he has one. It will mean that he won't have to technically overtake on track, but might as well have a go at it.
So, Project went a bit wide there.
Yeah. And there's
James
one,
Butler also has a drive-through penalty now.
all the drive
Oh,
through
and Butler has disconnected.
as Wanzig enters the pit with 1 minute to go, so that's that foot battle over. As Mike Stoffmill's got 1 minute to go, so possibly one more lap after this.
Yep, he is getting towards the end of his lap now, so there will be one more lap. Stoffmill crosses the line now and starts the final lap. Jordan Wansink gets out of the pit lane and rejoins in P7, immediately goes wide. As he seems to be right behind Stoffmill. But obviously he's left. Oh, there's a car off the road.
That's Milliot has gone off. A mistake by him, and the clock hits 0. I don't think those two are racing, so not an issue for Wanzig or Milliot there by going off that.
So
Nice.
Stoffmill heading into the final corner.
Yep, and as he'll cross the line, it will take the win at Misano for round 5.
Leader has finished
That's
the
another
race.
one to his ever-growing trophy cabinet. Fortunately, in a race where competition has sort of fell away. Mark
Maybe he'll
Whitford-
have to buy another trophy cabinet soon, because the one he has isn't big enough.
Yep, as he'll cross the line and come as Mark Whitford will come home in P2. Marcus Lawrence with John Dalton behind us. So they did eventually pass each other after the first time not going as well as it could have, but he'll still retain P3. Joel Dalton will come home in P9. Awesome P4. Thomas Olsen will eventually finish in P5.
Tom Pottage heading into the final couple of corners now, as he will finish in P6. There he crosses the line now.
Yep. Winchett will come home in P11. Berlin come home in P15. We've got one more thing to go after that.
Oh, that one has already finished, so Berlin will be the last to cross the line.
And that is your final result, with Mike Stoffel, Mark Whitford and Marcus Lawrence taking up the podium, followed by Mawson, Olsen, Pottage, Wanzig, Patrick, John Dalton, Sebastian Brunier and Sergei Yaminchuk will round off the top 10. No, Wanzig's P7, sorry, the list I'm reading off is different. That is the race! The carnage, unfortunately, that one I think felt ruined the race a bit in terms of the order being shuffled up a bit. But other than that, it was Misano. First time watching it. Any opinions about that race?
Well, I think there was some good stuff happening throughout. Unfortunately, a little bit quieter towards the end, especially as Mark Whitford got more of a gap to Mike Stoffmill. but still a pretty enjoyable race overall. So if you also enjoyed it, I would really appreciate it if you could click the like button and subscribe to the channel if you want to catch our upcoming races. Next week we'll have the final round of the GT4 series at Laguna Seca, and in 2 weeks' time we will have the final round of the GT3 series at Barcelona. So subscribe if you want to see those races.
Yep, and until then, stay safe, and we'll see you then.
Goodbye.